Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Think Suburbia, the podcast of the Suburban Virginia Republican Coalition. As you can see, we've added a video component. This is a Zoom meeting that we're doing. We are doing this because obviously we are practicing social distancing and we are all recording separately. But we're very excited about this because it is adding a video component to our podcasts for the first time. So again, my name is Mike Ginsberg. I am one of the hosts of the Now Video podcast.
And I'm Jill Cook. I'm the co-host of the podcast and one of the founding members of Suburban Virginia Republican Coalition, SUVGOP. And we are so excited to welcome our first video guest and our old friend, Pete Snyder. Pete and his wife, Burson, have started a new organization called the Virginia 30-Day Fund, and we're going to talk about that. Well, welcome, Pete. Thank you for being here.
Hey, Jill, thank you so much for having me. And Mike, thank you, both of you and all of your team. Thank you for the work that you're doing in the community. You know I'm a big fan of what you all are doing in our party, in Northern Virginia, and actually across the entire Commonwealth. Love what you're doing and just really appreciate being here.
Thanks. It's great when we have people like you to work with. So getting right to it, can you describe what the Virginia 30-Day Fund is?
We are a nonprofit with a very, very acute mission, right? There is a horrific pandemic that's ripping our country, the world, certainly our Commonwealth shut, and there's really two fronts to it. There's a health and wellness front and an economic front. We are looking at the economic front of that war, the devastation that's happening there, and we are trying to save small businesses across the Commonwealth. Businesses that are between 3 and 30 employees, have been around for a year and are owned by residents of Virginia. We want to make sure that they can get by in the next couple weeks, what we really call the death valley of the 2 to 3 to 5 to 6 weeks, where these small businesses need to wait until the federal cavalry comes, until those PPP or SBA loan checks hit bank accounts. As y'all know, because there's so many different small business owners in the SUVGOP, most small businesses only have 2 weeks of cash reserves. That's it. You know, and they will die on the vine. Tens of thousands of businesses across the Commonwealth will die on the vine if they have to wait 7, 8+ weeks for federal checks. So we cobbled together with a handful of friends from the philanthropic community, the business community across the Commonwealth to provide $3,000 totally forgivable loans to small businesses, and in hopes of helping them keep folks on payroll, because you know what, we're not going to have an economy to come back to if every employee is fired and every small business is shuttered. I mean, we will be in the darkest of a depression. So we need to keep people employed in these businesses, whether they're closed or open. Their employees need to stay on the job. Secondly, we allow them to pay rent. You know, you have to have an actual door to open when our economy reopens. And then lastly, during this really scary time from a medical perspective and a health perspective, making sure that employers are keeping their employees on health care. So $3,000 might not sound a lot to folks, but it's the difference between keeping those employees on or paying the health care bill or being able to pay the rent. To get them over the hump so that they can survive and succeed in the future. So we try to make it really simple. So if you want to apply for one of our loans, all you do is pick up your smartphone, go to VA 30-Day Fund, va30dayfund.com, pull up our website, hit the application button. There is a one-page application. It takes less than 10 minutes to fill out. And then we ask you to flip your phone, push the video button, and give us a 90-second video of telling us who you are, show us what your business is, and tell us what you want to do with the funds. And that's it.
That is a very cool idea. I love that.
Well, in a really complex and crazy world, we wanted to counter program and do something that is clean, easy, and simple. So we make a promise to everyone who applies that we'll get back to you within 3 days. Now, we might not give you a yes because we simply don't have the funds to fund every single business that applies, but we'll let you know where you stand. So we have been funding businesses as quickly as an afternoon. But by the time we receive their application, We have our Darden-backed back end review it, our funding committee look at it, and wires hitting bank accounts. Sometimes that's a matter of hours. Usually it's about 3 days or so. But when we give people the call that they've been accepted, we usually are able to wire funds that very day so they can start paying their people.
Okay, so I've got a two-part question. One is a real simple, how many businesses have you helped so far? But also, could you tell us, I love stories. I think stories are really wonderful to, really visualize what's happening. How many have you helped so far? And is there one particularly interesting story of a business that you worked with?
Sure. There are lots of stories that we have. We have funded 96 small businesses across the Commonwealth.
Wow.
Just over 2 weeks.
Wow.
So that's a wonderful thing. We've raised over $650,000 in 2 weeks. All those things are good. Now here's the downside. The downside is we have, as we speak right now, 1,582 open applications for our loans.
Wow.
The demand, and it's something that I'd love to speak to, which is you don't set something like this up, right? I'm a entrepreneur, my wife and I, and a handful of folks that Bobby Kilberg, Jim Chang, Todd Stoudemire, a lot of great folks in the community got together and did this. So you think you know the problem, right? You've identified the problem, you have a bit of a solution that you can put together. We realized after we launched on day one, we had no idea how bad it is out there.
Right.
We had no idea how vast and how deep the economic pain is. And that's what we saw the first day. We had 120 applications. And we had a nice little piece in the Washington Post, and that's it, right? We didn't have a marketing budget. And people found us. Now we have, almost 1,600 open applications. So that is just something that while I'm thrilled that we're going to be crossing the 100th business milestone very soon, in the next day or so, we have so much more that we need to do. And I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to be able to help many, many hundreds, if not 1,000 small businesses across Virginia, but it's a Herculean task right now.
Well, here's the other side of that. If we, you're giving out, you want to be on the receiving end. You want people to contribute. So, we've certainly advertised that. And are there other ways that you want to get the word out there for people to donate to this? Maybe if you publicize some of those numbers, look at all these people waiting to get this loan. Can you help? Something like that.
Great idea. And we are working digital, we are working social, we just, we're blasting emails. Y'all are probably getting sick of them by now. Trying to, yes, tell our story of what we're doing, but much more so, to your question before, tell the story of the real heroes that are out there that are cobbling it together. So I have a handful of really heart-wrenching and wonderful ones. Take, for example, there is a auto body shop in Springfield that is Korean American. And the son put together the video, and he showed his father, and they walked through the collision center that they have and went through the front office where his father, who immigrated from South Korea a couple decades ago, barely speaks English, to his sister who's working in the front office, to down into the body shop, showing everything. And this man's name is Thomas Kim, and he said, look, my family's livelihood is at stake. He said, we have lived the American dream. We have done things the right way. We have a great business, but we have no customers due to this pandemic. So we were able to fund that. We saw that they were focused on the right things, meaning they wanted the money they received from us to go to help keep their employees on, so they wouldn't have to fire anyone. It was just remarkable. So I called to congratulate them and tell them they're accepted. The father knew Virginia 30-Day Fund, but couldn't understand anything else, so he desperately tried to hunt for his son, who fielded the call, and it's been great. I hear from them every day now. They've actually, NBC4 did a story on them the other day, but then there's also a great mom and pop. I went to the College of William and Mary, so right in Williamsburg, there is a mom and pop drugstore called the Prescription Shop, SHOPPE, as they do in Williamsburg. African-American couple in their 30s. And, they didn't want to be a chain drugstore. They wanted to do something different. And they were talking about how the fact that they have 6 different patients, Williamsburg is a big retiree area these days. They have 6 different customers that are afflicted with COVID-19. So the staff that they are trying to cobble together to service this, they're working on the front lines. They're putting their lives at risk when they deliver this medicine. So it was just another angle. We always talk about I really view what's happening out there in the world right now. We're at war. I mean, we are at war. Jill and Mike and Donna and John. I mean, we have never seen anything like this, where we're confined to our homes. We can't be with other people. But I view it as a two-fronted war. There is a medical war, a health and wellness war that's being waged by the doctors and surgeons and nurses and healthcare worker heroes out there. But there's also another front to the war, which is the economic war that is just devastating our small businesses all across America. And I firmly believe that, if Americans need to enlist in one front or the other. I don't have a medical background. My wife doesn't. So we enlisted in the economic war and are trying to do everything that we can. But we need y'all, because you know the community so well, to guide us to distressed businesses that need help. But we also need you to guide us to people who are sitting on the sidelines, who really want to help. They just don't know how to do it. So we need them. We need their help and with funding. We need their help in identifying businesses. So we need everyone to enlist.
Now, how much have you raised so far? I guess how long have you been in operation, and how much have you raised so far, and how many businesses total have you been able to help?
Sure. We have been operating for just over 2 weeks, which is a pretty short period of time. And we have raised over $650,000 in that period of time. And we're just knocking on the door of fully funding 100 small businesses. So we've made quick work in a very short period of time. And, I'll say this, and this sounds like I'm puffing out my chest, but I'm not, because what I'm about to share is a very sad fact. But there is no other non-government entity in the country that is doing more to help small businesses and save jobs more quickly than we are. It's true. But I wish it weren't. I mean, we should be 120th on the depth chart, right? But the system isn't working right now.
Right. Question here then, can we export this? Are there contexts in other states where we can export this module,
Well, great question, and it's already happening. I got to, as y'all know, good ideas aren't formed by one person. It's not you're in the shower and you have the eureka moment. That's not how life works. So there are 2 different features of Virginia 30-Day Fund that I have to give great credit to other people for. But what the open source nature of what we do actually came from Nick Ayers, who he's from Georgia. He's the former chief of staff for the vice president. He's an old friend of mine, and we're talking, and I gave him the 2-minute drill of what we're doing. He's like, Pete, that's great. Shoot, I want to start one in Georgia. Have you thought of open sourcing your model? So everything you do, from the website to the model of how you score these businesses to the back office, can you do that? And we said, sure, we did. So about a week ago, I participated in a Zoom press conference in Macon, Georgia, when they launched the Macon 30-Day Fund to try to help small businesses in Macon County. They've already raised over $200,000 in 1 week. Next week, Pennsylvania is going online. So PA 30-Day Fund is going online. They've raised already over $100,000, and they haven't even launched yet. So
this is great. I mean,
this is good. We have no pride. We want people to rip and roll and steal and do anything and everything that they can to help out small businesses and help save some jobs.
It's a franchise, and I have to just interject real quick here. My husband, part of his family is from Macon, Georgia.
I love it. Oh, that's great. Have them look at the website. Their website looks identical to ours in Virginia because we want it to, and we do anything and everything we can do to make others successful. I mean, and that's kind of a neat thing, and forgive me for filibustering, but one of the neatest things about this whole process is just like this horrible virus that knows no geographic boundaries, it doesn't know ideological boundaries or party boundaries or you name it. This is for the first time in a long, long time. We've had such a divided country, such a divided commonwealth. We actually have people working hand in hand that usually don't. Democrats and Republicans, liberals and conservatives. We're thrilled to announce a partnership with the NAACP, who've been wonderful partners with us so far. And we just surpassed, we set out a fundraising goal of $30,000 to fund 10 minority businesses in Fairfax County. We surpassed that goal in less than 10 hours.
Oh my
goodness. It's been great. And folks that y'all know well, Chap Peterson and his wife Sharon have come on board our advisory board. Chap and his wife have given $20,000 of their own money. Chap and I know each other before this a little bit, but not all that well. It took a 7-minute conversation, and he said, Pete, I love what y'all are doing. This is absolutely what we need. How can I help? Scott Survival donated $5,000. He's very, very helpful in guiding us to businesses and helping with ideas. And people don't talk about politics at all. It's refreshing. We're Virginians rolling up our sleeves because we're at war. And you know what? There are bigger fish to fry right now than politics. And that's been a very heartening thing for me and for Burson. And
yeah, we actually wanted to note, that was one of the little ticks that we wanted to mention, is that this is a bipartisan organization. This is not one way or the other. You have a great advisory board made up of lots of different, geographically and ideologically different people, correct?
Well, absolutely. And part of that is folks raising their, we want in, how can will you have us? And we say, yes, of course we'll have you.
Of course.
Also, it's what we're battling, which is this pandemic knows no bounds. The economic war knows no bounds. I mean, the applications we get are across every single industry. And again, I probably had a preconceived notion that, we're going to get the corner bar and the local bakery and all the mom and pop stuff, food related. I didn't realize that we were a dentist who's affluent and has kids in private school, but he has 6 different practices across Central Virginia, and he can't practice, and he may have to let go 90% of his people. I mean, I never in a million years would have thought that would cross the transom, but it has. So, and it knows no geographic bounds either. So we've been fortunate to have an advisory board and people heavily involved with us because, the problem is everywhere in Virginia.
So do you have, the question kind of answered itself, but there probably is not an end date in sight, because you really don't, or was there something that you had, maybe thought about, it's going to be this period of time and not before, not after, but maybe that's changed a little? Can you? Sure,
Jill. And that's a great question. Look, the name of this is the Virginia 30-Day Fund, which is,
yes, I know.
By design, we really thought, hey, look, there's going to be a couple weeks period of time between the federal cavalry coming and the check hitting your bank account and now. So if we can fill that gap, that was what we thought. It's far worse than we ever imagined. Some of the system is working, some of it is not. So I think at a minimum, we're going to be around for 45 days. Probably more likely than 90. It'll be probably somewhere between 45 and 90 days where something like Virginia 30-Day Fund will be necessary. But I hope that's it. Burson and I have zero desire to be running a year-long nonprofit. We've never done it before. We've been doing it for the past, 17 days or so. It is and I'm not complaining at all. It is a 16 to 18 hour a day job on top of my regular job, and on top of now that I'm a homeschool tutor as well for a 5-year-old. But we were talking the other night, and we're, obviously like most Virginians and Americans, we're wiped out at the end of the day. I mean, it's just a different time right now. But I said to my wife, I said, I don't think I've loved a job in a long time the way I love this one.
Right.
And it's because it's, it's hard work, but it's instant reward. After I get off with y'all, I have 6 calls to make to fund small businesses. And, those conversations are, pretty meaningful. And now I'm getting choked up, which I never get choked up, but 60% of the time, people cry when we call. Over $3,000.
Yeah.
And, who would have thought, but people are hanging on by a thread. I don't, you guys have known me for a long time. You've never seen me get emotional. I was married for 13 years. My wife has seen me cry 4 or 5 times, and we've actually had a lot of loss, in that period of time.
Right.
It's like twice a week, which is a problem.
A whole new emotional repertoire.
I think, like the Virginia 30-day fund, we will put that on the shelf very soon.
Well, this is great. This is great. No, we appreciate it. Is there any other points you'd like to make before we close it out? This is really, I know you're a very busy guy, as you say.
I have some questions before we move on.
Yes, I have something, Mike, that I'd like to talk about, which is the whole feature of which we didn't talk about, which is the pay it forward feature. And this is I'm actually going to give a shout out to someone that I think many of you know, just like the Nick Ayers conversation, where I got an idea from someone kicking the tires and said, "Oh my gosh, you need to open source." Of all things, I was talking to Ben Tribbett, who is a very well-known, Democratic operative in Virginia, kind of a master of disaster. It's plagued many of us in many ways, but he's at heart, he's a very, very good guy and a smart guy. And we were talking, and I gave him the 2-minute drill on this, and he said to me, "Yeah, Pete, that's a good idea, but it's wrong." I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, come on, you're an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs, small business people, they're proud people. Like they hate charity. You can't give them charity. They don't want that. They might want a lifeline, but you need to have a pay it forward clause in here so that they can, once they're back on their feet, they have the opportunity, not the obligation, but the opportunity to pay it forward." So that's what we have. These are completely forgivable loans. We don't expect to see another dime of them, but the entrepreneurs and small business owners have an opportunity to, if they're back on their feet in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, to actually pay the $3,000 back. And we, or whatever entity exists at that time, can guide it to a distressed business at that period of time. And that small idea from someone else has become one of the biggest selling points to people who are applying for our program. And more so, when I'm on the phone with them and we're having our hallmark moment, and at the end, they'll always say, "Thank you so much. Hey, Pete, I just want to let you know, we are going to pay it forward." So that's just a really, I think, neat thing that we're doing, and it seems to have great appeal to the folks that are applying.
That is really great. And, again, from someone you might not have expected it from, a little help there. I just have, real quick, I have another question for you. How is little B doing?
She is great. She is, we barred the door, or she's in like geometry now. She's 5 years old. She doesn't do geometry yet, but she is awesome. And I think she misses her friends like most people do. Yeah. She's having a blast. And she is going to have, and I think in 2 weeks, we're going to get, again, if we're allowed to with the world and social distancing, but she is getting a brother and sister dogs in Willie and Waylon Snyder, who are joining our crew.
I love it.
Y'all are dear friends, and I think you knew this from me and from Facebook or what have you. We lost our beloved Elvis probably 7 months ago, and it hit us hard. So my wife did some hardcore Googling, and so the place where we got Elvis from no longer existed. Okay. So my wife did some deep sleuthing and found Elvis's sister, who gave birth a couple weeks ago to Willie and Waylon. So we have the mighty Elvis bloodline is still going to be in the Snyder household. So that's
Elvis's nieces and nephews.
B asks about them every day. We FaceTime with Mr. Bob, who is their dad in quarantine, and we FaceTime probably once or twice a week with William. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really great.
Oh my God,
it's really great. Well, this is one of those conversations.
It's crazy. I was just going to say, pets across America can't understand why their people are home all the time. It's like totally crazy.
Right. Well, this is a very sort of uplifting and, you know, sort of very humanizing conversation with, you know, everybody's families and, you know, doing so much good in the community, and also, you know, spending time with our loved ones and making it work and making connections with folks that maybe we haven't made, you know, connections with before. It's really, you know, it's a great thing that you're doing, Pete. It really is.
Well, Mike, thank you so much. And look, thank you for having me as a guest here. Obviously, I'm a big supporter of what y'all are doing. And I just, you know, from the bottom of my heart and Burson's heart and the entire team at Virginia 30 Day Fund, thank you for the way you all have been stepping up, the contributions that I know you and your group has driven, that many of you personally have done to our fund so we can help small businesses, to the constant, wonderful digital presence that you have, amplifying our message so those in need can find us, and also those who, again, are sitting on the sidelines and want to figure out a way to help but just haven't yet, that they can get involved with us. So thank you very, very much. And I'm excited, Mr. Ginsburg, when there is a baseball season that and stadiums we can go to. I'm still waiting for my invitation to the to an O's game with the Ginsburg.
Yes. Oh, I would do anything to be able to go to an O's game right now. I can tell you that.
From this Red Sox fan, this lifetime.
Again, my connection is bad. I did not hear anything about the Red Sox.
Right. I'm sorry.
How does LSU and Red Sox work? I don't get it.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh my gosh, this was great. Well, you know what, Pete, we want to have you on again. You were our first video, and we'd love to have you again. Maybe talk about maybe an update on this, and then maybe something in the more political realm.
I think we're going to be focused on updates on small businesses and banter about really bad Boston teams. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I can sign up for that. You don't have to ask me for that twice.
Well, y'all are great, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for joining us, and thank you to all of you out in the audience. So you can catch all of our podcasts at our website, SUVGOP.com, and we look forward to you joining us at future Think Suburbia with video added. So thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you on the next podcast.